Hello everyone, welcome to this video where we will dive into chapter 2 of the RHCSA certification guide. This chapter focuses on getting started with the command line and bash scripting in Linux. Whether you are preparing for the RHCSA exam or just looking to improve your Linux skills, this video will walk you through everything you need to know. In this video, we will cover logging into a Linux system and running simple commands, understanding the bash shell and its features, executing commands efficiently using bash shortcuts, writing and running bash scripts using regular expressions for text processing. This video is for anyone interested in Linux system administration, whether you are a beginner or an experienced user looking to refine your skills. In this section, Introduction to Gnome Desktop Environment. A desktop environment provides a graphical interface for interacting with a Linux system. In Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9, Gnome 40 is the default desktop environment. It delivers a seamless user experience and serves as a unified platform for application development, built on either Wayland, the default, or the older X window system. At the heart of Gnome is Gnome Shell, which powered the main interface. It offers extensive customization options. By default, Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9 uses the standard theme, but you can switch to the classic theme for a look similar to earlier versions of Gnome. You can change themes at login by selecting the gear icon after choosing your account, but before entering your password. New users are greeted with an optional Take a Tour program on their first login, which introduces key features of Gnome in Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9. To access Gnome help, click Activities button on the top left, then select the help icon from the application menu. Now let's talk about the parts of the Gnome shell. Top bar. The top bar runs across the screen and remains visible in all workspaces. It provides Activities button for navigating workspaces and applications, system controls for volume, networking, and the calendar. Keyboard layout switcher if multiple layouts are configured. And then Activity Overview. This view helps manage, open windows, and launch applications. Access it by clicking Activities or pressing the Super or the Windows key. It includes Dash, a quick launch bar for favorite and running applications. Windows Overview, a central area displaying all open windows. Workspace Selector, a right side panel for managing multiple workspaces. System Menu, located at the top right. This menu lets users adjust the screen brightness, manage network connections, open settings, lock the screen or log out. Dash or dock. The dash holds frequently used applications, running apps, and the Show Applications button to browse all installed programs. Windows Overview displays previews of open windows for easy navigation and workspace organization. Workspace Selector enables seamless switching and window movement between different workspaces. Message Tray shows system and app notifications. Click the clock on the top bar or press Super plus M capital to open it. It also displays the calendar and event details. To customize keyboard shortcuts, open System Menu and then click on Settings and then try to find Keyboard and Keyboard Shortcuts. The command line is a text-based interface that allows users to communicate with a computer by entering instructions. In Linux, this interface is powered by a program known as the shell. The default shell in Red Hat Enterprise Linux is the GNU Born Again shell or bash. When a shell session starts, a prompt appears signaling readiness for user input. Regular users see a $sign symbol, while super users root see a hash symbol. Bash is a powerful tool for executing commands and scripting, making it possible to automate repetitive tasks It streamlines complex operations that graphical tools may struggle to handle efficiently. Compared to Windows CMD command line, Bash is more comparable to PowerShell due to its scripting flexibility. To access a shell, users must log in through a terminal session. We can emulate this here from the virtual machine by coming up like that, and we press on this icon. So Linux machines may have a physical console or virtual consoles, which can be switched using Ctrl-Alt function on a physical machine and keys F1 to F6. Here, because we are in a virtual machine, we can emulate this by choosing this one, Ctrl-Alt F1. So there is no terminal running here. We can go to Ctrl-Alt F3, and this is how it looks like. On systems with a graphical interface, users must open a terminal emulator within the graphical environment to access the shell prompt, like we had before here. And we have a headless server operates without a dedicated monitor and keyboard. These servers are typically accessed remotely through a serial console or tools like virtual network computing or VNC. The most widely used method for connecting to remote Linux systems is Secure Shell (SSH). Most Linux distributions, including Red Hat Enterprise Linux, provide the OpenSSH client and server, which includes the SSH command. Here, for example, to connect to a remote system, we put the username, and the IP address, and we use the command SSH to log into that server. In most cases, in enterprise environments, there is a DNS server on the network. Instead of using directly the IP address of the server, we are using a hostname. To emulate this, you can open the file /etc/hosts, and we put the IP and the name for that server, preferably to use the server host name. Any name you will use here, it will not affect the connection because the resolve happened to be using the IP address. And here, as you can see, we used SSH username and the host name that we entered in /etc hosts on our client. So the command SSH will resolve that name by reading the file hosts to do a resolving locally. Some remote systems, particularly cloud instances, disable password authentication for security reasons. Instead, they rely on public key authentication. To emulate this, to log in using an SSH private key file, we use the option -i. So here on the client, we use the command SSH-keygen to generate a private key and public key. The public key will be copied to the server, and the private key will stay on the client. And here you don't need to do anything. You just press enter for each, and a key will be generated in your home folder under .ssh folder. And then we copy this ID using the command SSH-copy-ID to the server and the username that going to be used for the login. And after that, we use the command SSH-i and the location of the private key and then the username and the host name. And if you notice here, the server didn't ask us for the password. In general, you don't need to add -i and the private key because SSH automatically will recognize the private key in your home folder and matching it with the server that got the public key copied to. When connecting to a remote system for the first time, SSH warns that the host authenticity cannot be verified. Entering yes saves the key and allows future connections without warning. Bash GNU Born Again Shell is a command line interpreter that processes user-entered commands. A command entered into the shell typically consists of three components: command, the name of an installed program; options, modifiers that usually begin with a hyphen or a double hyphen; arguments, additional inputs for the command. Each part of a command is separated by spaces, Once a command is entered, pressing enter executes it. The output is displayed before the next shell prompt appears. To execute multiple commands on a single line, use a semicolon, a special character in Bash known as a meta character. The date command prints the system's current date and time. Privileged users can modify the system clock using this command. Linux does not rely on file extensions for classification. Instead, the file command determines file types by inspecting their headers. To view file content, you can use the command head or tail. Head by default will print the first 10 lines of a file. Tail will print the last 10 lines of a file. If you want to change this, you can use the argument -n or -n plus the number. As you can see here, I use tail to print the last 3 lines, and with the other file etc passwd to print the last 2 lines. This sign called pipe or vertical bar. It is used to redirect the output of the first command to be an input to the second command after the pipe sign. Tab completion speeds up command and a file name entry. If a typed string is ambiguous, pressing tab twice displays all matching commands or files. The history command lists previously executed commands, prefixed with a number. You can reuse past commands with !number, re-executes a command by its history number. If you used !string, runs the most recent command starting with the specified string. To insert the last word from the previous command, you can write the beginning of the command, space, and start pressing Alt plus dot, and it will bring you the last word for all the previous commands. And then you can choose what you want to be your second argument for the command. By leveraging Bash scripting, you can create automated solutions for repetitive tasks, improving both efficiency and accuracy. A Bash script is an executable file containing a sequence of commands. The first line of any Bash script should start with the shebang, followed by the interpreter. To run a script, it must have execute permissions. Use the chmod command to modify the file permissions. If the script is stored in a directory included in the system's path variable, you can execute it simply by its file name. Otherwise, you must provide its full path or use the // prefix if running it from the current directory. Bash interprets certain characters and words with special meanings. To use them as literals, they must be escaped using / for individual characters, single quotes to preserve all enclosed characters literally, double quotes to suppress globbing and shell expansion while allowing variable substitution. Understanding proper quoting and escaping techniques prevents unintended behavior in scripts. The echo command is a fundamental tool for displaying output in a Bash script. By default, it prints text to standard output stdout, but its output can be redirected as needed. If bin directory in your home folder in the path variable, running hello will execute the script. For structured logging and debugging, messages should be appropriately categorized. Standard output stdout for general information, standard error stderror for error messages. Redirection greater than or greater than to store messages in files. Be careful and be aware when using greater than redirection sign and greater than. The difference is when you using one greater than to redirect the output to a file, it doesn't matter if the file exists, it will delete what the file contains and overwrite this file. If the file is not exist, it will create the file and then write the redirection data. If you used the greater than, if the file exists, it will append at the end of the file. If the file is not exist, It will create the file and start writing to the file. Also, adding echo statements in scripts helps track variable values and execution flow, aiding in troubleshooting issues efficiently. Now let's manage files directly from the terminal. The following commands are the most used commands on daily basis for a regular system administrator. The command pwd, or print working directory, or show current directory. And we have the command ls, we saw it before, list files. ls space -l detailed file list. cd change directory space and the full path or a relative path, we will talk about this later, change directory. So when you write cd space and the path, you changing your place right now to a different place. Like if you are in your home and you change it to a /temp directory. The command touch and space and the name of the file, you can write an extension or not, is to create an empty file. Using the command echo with an argument string and the redirection sign greater than and the name of the file, if the file is not exist, this command will create the file and write the string inside the file. If the file already exists, this command will overwrite the file. You can edit the file using vim command and the command cp, name of the file, space, and the path, this to copy the file from the existing path to the destination, from source and destination. Move mv, this to move the file from source to destination. And moving is like copying and after you delete the file. rm or remove space the file is to delete the file. And with this, use rm or remove command very carefully. Mastering loops and conditional constructs is essential for automating repetitive tasks in scripting. The for loop in bash facilitates iterations efficiently. In the first example, we have a variable I takes each value from list 1, 2, 3 and the command block executes for each instance. The list values can be user-defined, generated via shell expansion, or derived from command substitution. Every command in a script returns an exec code upon execution. A 0 indicates successful execution, while non-zero values denote errors. If exit is omitted, the script returns the last command's exec code. To ensure scripts handle unexpected conditions, verify inputs such as user arguments, variable expansions, and command substitutions using the test command. To see the exit status, view the $? variable immediately after executing the test command. Test by using the bash, the newer extended test command syntax, or double open brackets and double closed brackets, which provides features such as file name globbing and regular expression pattern matching. The space characters inside the brackets are mandatory because they separate the words and elements within the test expression. You can do string comparison and string length comparison. In this example, -z string, true if the length of a string is 0. -n string, true if the length of a string is non-zero. The if statement enables decision-making logic in scripts. In this example, $1 represents the variable that holds the first argument for your script. Regular expressions offer a robust method for identifying specific patterns in text. Tools such as vim, grep, and less support regular expressions. Additionally, programming languages like Perl, Python, and C implement regular expressions with slight syntax variations. Regular expressions function as a distinct language with their own set of rules and syntax. The most fundamental form of a regular expression is an exact match. An exact match occurs when the characters in the pattern align precisely with the target string, including order and type. For instance, if a user searches for the term cat in this example, the pattern cat will match instances where C, A, and T appear sequentially without interruption. By default, a regular expression finds matches anywhere within a line. However, line anchors allow us to specify matches at the start or end of a line. The caret ensures that a match occurs at the beginning of a line. The $sign ensures that a match occurs at the end of a line. To match a pattern as an entire line, use caret at the beginning and $sign at the end. The grep command searches files for lines that match a specified pattern. Always enclose patterns in single quotes to prevent shell interpretation of meta characters. You can filter command outputs using grep. Congratulations! In this video, we covered how to access the command line, execute commands, write bash scripts, and use regular expressions for text processing. Next steps to do: keep practicing regularly, experiment with scripts and automation. Watch the next video in this RHCSA series. For more information and explanation, don't forget to check my GitHub repository for the course. You can download the files named by the course chapters. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more Linux tutorials. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or suggestions for future videos. I will see you in the next one. Happy Linuxing and thanks for watching.